the atmosphere, the ambience here on Grand Prix week is pretty special. So we're going to be enjoying Le Mans, that is for sure. We had a glimpse of the championship standings there on the left-hand side. Max Quiles is your championship leader, and after just 4 rounds, he's already 37 points clear. Alvaro Carpe is his nearest challenger, but he's yet to win a Grand Prix. Adrian Fernandez, his podium last time out, elevating him up to 3rd. Valentin Peroni not back to 4th. They had a fellow countryman, Marco Morelli. So 2 Argentinians up inside the top 5. For our Indonesian fans, Almanza, back from injury last time out. Uriarte, Dynavolt Intact GP team completing the top. Joe Moodley is getting ready to gear up. He's out. We're talking about him just now. Leaves the pit lane. Le Mans, Chile, we go to. I am fairly sure.
Unfortunately, that might be the case. It is very cold out there, even though the track temperature will be a little bit more than that, but is all about. So just take it steady on the opening. This is the Dunlop chicane that they all, I guess you could call it, before each from the first 4 GPs of a Moto3 season.
To win the title that year. So that's what they're suggesting. And Max Quiles may well be on member. So just really be an upset. But we can have upsets as well. Here 12 months ago, didn't get it converted in weather-wise. Quiles doesn't mind it wet. The driving seat, 37 points. That's a lot of.
You don't need us to tell you guys at home that the 5, the closest challenger, as you said, knows like the back of their hands, to go and fit as well. It was a real sort of gauntlet laid down, and of course in Austin as well, but that's today. And then sort of toy with the race, but then to just pull the pin in the last few laps, got a real hard job to try and first course coming into this year, as we all did, to be a title.
Well, of course, he didn't need to go through Jello, where a rider is absolutely clean sweep. And we're looking at Veda Pratama here. Veda Pratama getting the championship overall, overall in the standings, and Veda Pratama is very much in that.
Over in Jerez because he'd qualified a mistake, but was in that lead group. But so difficult than others, especially the likes of get inside that second group and finish just behind the mistake that he made over in Austin. And it's just a chip fight in terms of the sort of top 5. Phenomenal job done, and I think it just goes well in the hunt for a podium over there as well. Pratama, I mentioned with Quiles, go to a circuit in Jerez, competitors out there, to go and do what he did, kudos to the Indonesian again.
Very, that was the more impressive thing for me. Marco Morelli, Marco Morelli, spoke with him after the tyre, but on used tyres, Marco Morelli.
The race and dropped back a few too many. It was turn 6 that he said he went wide at, and then he had Quiles turned up the wick, sort of lapped 5th, and another 44.7. Obviously a carrot dangled in front of him in the podium battle. Right, yeah, if it weren't for been really impressed with Marco for the number 97.
It really has, and it just seems to be the case. It's got Alvaro Carpe and Valentin Peroni really knocking spot. Oh, dearie me, Cormac brings to record them on the final 2 corners, but they'll be in that podium fight for as long as they keep battling towards this 3-4 chicane. Thailand as well, we've seen it a lot of times.
There isn't it? Obviously we saw over it in Austin, it was wide as well, which cost Peroni a podium. Mix early doors at the French GP as well. Peroni just off the top 3, as it were. Quiles, Fernandez, tyre wear, and just a couple of mistakes side at that top 5 once again. And Peroni, it's not your day, and he's still finishing in P as well, but he did have, of course, Carpe ahead of it. So it was, I think, a little bit of a disappointing.
He did get it across the line. Just while we're on about that, last time out, we've not had it in 2 consecutive Grand Prix, of course, back then, and the first GP of 1980. That's one thing and another, but doesn't matter. Time for South America, particularly with what we've and obviously
didn't have an Argentine GP this year, but of course we've got, and obviously Termas was a big miss. This sort of title fight, has got high hopes of them, both in this year and of course in William Morelli, obviously 4th and 5th in the championship, so for the top of the championship.
It's going to be very interesting to see soon in this 2026 campaign. Time last year when Dennis Foggia, his ex-team, that was over at Brno, of course, and I think we are going to have a few fireworks in that at years of age. He's going to try and work his way around. Alvaro Carpe, Max Quiles on FP1 at Le Mans. Valentin top 10. Good stuff from Adrian Cruzes, of course. KTM Tech 3 outfit. So
the break, along with David Almanza, actually testing on a Misi Cruzes, donning a nice orange crash helmet. Rider market, we're not hearing much news about Moto2, other things going on that's stopping the announcements coming at us in terms of what the riders in Moto3 or 2 bike.
Yeah, Almanza perhaps not the biggest surprise team in Moto2, so there's obviously he's still not 100% fit, so jump advised against, particularly when Almanza has been was looking at the start like he might race up and just improving the times a little bit more. But they're top machines that does lead the way. Solid job last time. Originally thought he would. Here last year he was top 3. I think he qualified down. So Aman's a top Honda here last year. Finds himself Kate.
It was for Munoz upon his return as well, of course, and just said he struggled physically in the grounds, and journalists, commentators, whatever. Really solid job done from our manager, but of course, wish him. But after the fractured elbow he picked up in that couldn't use the engine brake properly in sectors, especially of course the final sector, turn 13. That's where Amanza was struggling. He was saying off second in the last split, but to finish inside that top 10, get points. It was a very strong return to form and ready for this weekend in France.
Talking of weekend he was having, that was his best weekend since Kota last. A few metres past, but he was in the gravel, pretty strong, right all the way through the weekend.
Qualified 5th over in Australia upon his injury. In P4, did the same over in the Australia P5, and yeah, just a 15-minute racing incident, but I think that's exactly what it was. To be honest, it was just the telly and continue. But I think when coming back to what we saw last year before, of course, he picked up those horrible injuries. Yeah, what we're used to seeing him at the start of last year.
Real tough start to this year, hasn't he? Passed away back home in Japan, so 100% on racing. Obviously, his grandmother. Yamanaka been down outside the top 20. He's here at Le Mans. We've got a bit more. We say Yamanaka just. Hopefully he's...
Yeah, I think it's a timely reminder, sort of, the riders in Moto3, and he's been in Europe for quite a few years now, and when something like that happens, they're still, obviously, just sort of put things into perspective, time in Europe. So I think it's, yeah, a little bit of the, you know, obviously it's sort of not been the grains that we don't always see, and the riders don't always take a family, and of course, Ryusi hopefully has a good weekend here in Le Mans, P18, Aragon 20. Fingers crossed Yamanaka can get some points to his grandmother as well. So yeah,
came from a best qualifying here of 10th by here at Le Mans. Looking at the wet weather, Sunday, bring your cagoule. Hakim Danish, and anyone who wants to move some early months wet would be Hakim Danish. He's up there in 8th.
Yeah, Hakim Danish was obviously wet on the podium as well. Obviously, the riders in Malaysia than it is in the UK, and and has gone P10, P13, and then P13, and of course, when the wet weather arrives, quite a few riders, although they're not going to want to race, isn't it? And obviously we see a lot of riders, tops to my head as well, and a few others. So going to get that on Sunday, unfortunately. Tomorrow looks a little. Riders are out on the wet tyres. It's going to be here, and they've not had too much. We've obviously been speaking about yesterday when, and I think we've all said, yeah, watch out for also circumstances when the sort of pressure is off, likes of, you know, Quiles, potentially Morelli on Sunday.
Looks like it'll be dry tomorrow. Cast your minds back to Jerez, and if you haven't watched it, Sunday, on the other hand, rain showers at 12, and then gonna be wet out there. So Sunday, and it looks like Sunday was all. It's not a cloud in the sky, actually. It is. Tomorrow was hit and miss, but Sunday has
want a wet race every single weekend, of course, pushing the limits as we saw last year with, of course, Johan Zarco. We all might get a little bit wet, and it might be a bit cold. Surprise results and some fantastic stories. Hopefully it will be something special.
Not that helps anybody who's Mark of Alvaro High GP winner, just working his way through the second Veda Ega Yakota GP winner. What a night, even get to the end of the GP. So
exactly that, how sort of times can change from, well, and he was trying to find its way back up. Q1, remember Guido Pini from for the Leopard Honda rider, and then of course crashed down. One that he'll be wanting to forget, was in the lead down at turn 8, where he unfortunately crashed down at Garage Lynch on the Honda this season. But yeah, her ref
of course was up inside for the Liquid Moly Dynavolt KTM outfits. Qualifying, we're less than 10 minutes away here. The Matteo Bertelli up there in 16th, just like last time. Out Max Quiles is 7th, Salmela 12th, 15th, Esteban, Ogden, Queso, Cruce, Moody, Jesus, Rios, Zen Matani and Leo. At the moment, less than a 10th of a second, covering your top.
Off, don't we, Kiko, before the end of FP1, because nowhere near 100% fit, and has since to do what he did, be in that podium fight, to be in the victory fight, and we know that Munoz is still not 100%, no training. I think he had 1 day off, so absolutely nowhere near 100% fit, and he did the grid that you know who's going to give it kudos, and he just an outstanding job done.
One of the riders had Joe Fernandez. Of course, it was Fernandez's David Munoz's leg but on the last and all over it. But thankfully it didn't. They were neck like each other. The teams don't particularly want. We don't want all rows flying everywhere. We want to see it done responsibly. We don't want to see, on a last lap, going on the last later, I suppose at least we could see the Moto3.
Yeah, of course, and we could still try and see the session in the Pirelli, who was just on our screen, has got a front row view to the back a little bit later on, of course, practice coming up. This was, I think, either finishing on the podium was going to be something that Munoz would have been last lap within the limits. Of course, we don't want to, they're just sort of trying to manoeuvre themselves into position. Evan it was, and then ran a little bit wide. Fernandez got the cut wide, and it was a fantastic run to the line, wasn't it? We obviously saw pictures of Jorge Martinez asphalt, and just great to see Munoz actual fight this season. Obviously not fighting with the likes of Quiles, Fernandez, Morelli in there. He was embroiled in a phenomenal battle down at the track when he was eyeing up a debut. We pom by and say thank you very much and claim another, and yeah, he'll be looking to be in that top.
In this rider on your screen, Adrian Fernandez was there. It's about a 10th and a quarter, so off what they were able to do here last year. At the moment, it's Joel Kelso on a 140. David Almanza is absolutely flying. The final couple of corners, double eight across the line. They go 41.3 clock. Almanza, Fernandez, Joel Kelso 6th.
Yeah, the only Honda inside who just goes outside the top 10 with a 4. Leading for a lot of the race on the 66 and so far for Joel Kelso, who's just building up that. But slowly but surely Kelso is getting there. And Thailand, he was very shocked actually. I've got no doubt in my mind that he'll be one of those places.
Still yet to have a 12, so top 10 over one lap, not seemingly too much. Veda Ega Pratama 14th, hacking Danish behind Marco Morelli, so Danish is on, moves up one place but gets ahead of that Marco counts for exceeding track limits. So 3 sectors in by half a tenth of a second this year. We've not seen too many yellow flags.
Not jinx that for the final couple of seconds. Carpe is going to Carpe 141.2. Munoz just Liquid Moly Dynabot Intact GP will be happy. A little bit stronger than they were in Jerez as well, and a good stop. Focusing on himself, and this year so far he's not going to deliver a lap time for P1 inside that top 10. Yeah, no issue.
Too much. We were talking about Matteo, but he's up there in 5th place. Who else? O'Gorman, just probably again that P12. If I'm not wrong, I think he finished 12th in. He's P12 for his second consecutive FP5 sees him pretty clean forward. Munoz in there in 4th, but Telly.
But HC3 was inside that top 5 over in Jerez. He's on a good run of form, is Alvaro. As his closest challenger, 37 points. So sooner or Leeds, maybe this weekend, who knows? So good stuff from Carpe.
Fernandez as well, your top Honda, but Alvaro Carli in 5th. It's a 1, 2, 3, 8th and 9th, 10th place going. Team powered team, Scott Ogden 12th. Adrian, work to do for the other French team, Tech Carney completing your order. But it's crunch time later on. It is most